Okay, this is your last video for the day. This is the third type of ionic called multivalent ionic. So what's different about these? If you look at group 1 and group 2 metals, because all ionics begin with a metal, the charge is given right here in the periodic table. And I don't know how clearly you can see that, but everything in here has a charge of 2. Everything in this column has a charge of 1. All of these guys have multiple charges. So we're only focusing on 3 of these multivalents. We'll do iron, which could have a charge of 2 or 3, copper, which could have a charge of 1 or 2, and lead, which could have a charge of 2 or 4. So if anything starts with copper, Cu, iron, Fe, or lead, Pb, you're going to be using this set of rules right here. So for naming, it's same as before. For the ionic, copper bromide, iron chloride, lead fluoride, copper oxide. The only difference now is we have to do something called a reverse crossover. So we have to take the number that's down here and put it over here. So that's a 1. Wait, we don't see a number there. If there's no number in chemistry, it's a 1. So it's copper 1. That's a Roman numeral. Iron 2. So whenever we have copper, iron, or lead, we have to use this rule. Lead 4. Now here's an interesting one. This one's really interesting. Because if you did a reverse crossover number here, oxygen would have a charge of 1. But we know that oxygen always has to have a charge of 2. So if we double this and make this 2, we have to double this. This is not something I'm going to throw at you on a test, but I want you to be aware that if the crossover number for the one on the right isn't what it's supposed to be, so I had to multiply this by 2, I'd have to multiply that by 2. Now, to do the formula, it's the same rule we've always used. It's the crossover rule. So you write your elements down, and then you do the crossover rule. Well, if we go on our periodic table, oxygen has a crossover number of 2. And chlorine has a crossover number of 1. But what are iron and lead's crossover numbers? Well, those crossover numbers are the Roman numerals. So that's 1, 2, 3. And that means 1 before 5, which is 4. So you only have to know the Roman numerals 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now we cross them over. Fe2O3 and PbCl4. Okay, so that same crossover number rule applies. Listen, your job now is to get everything in one place. We are going to try 16 questions prior to lunch. So you've got all this time to go over videos, to take a look at the rules, to get all your rules written down. I'm going to give you 16 challenge problems. I'm going to take them up. We are going to go away for lunch, and I'm going to give you 16 more. And then in the afternoon, it's just those final 16 plus doing some online games.